Have you ever felt self-conscious at the gym? Like you aren't quite sure what you're doing, and maybe like everyone else knows, they see you, and they're judging you? Or maybe you're like me, and you've had a question in that big meeting that you really wanted to ask, but no one else is putting their hands up, so you keep yours down too because, well, you're not an insane person? There's a lot of talk about the self, self worth, self confidence, self development. But the reality is, we live in a world full of everyone else. And whether you realize it or not, when you're making decisions, you're always factoring in what others may or may not think and how they may or may not be judging you. And unfortunately, this can be the exact thing that's holding you back from creating the positive change you're after. Welcome to Change Made Easy. Changing your habits, routines, and behaviors is hard. We make it easy. My name is Paul Leviton. I am a board licensed health and wellness coach, and I have been working with people just like you to positively change their habits and routines for over a decade. Seth Godin said, "If we wasted money like we wasted time, we'd all be bankrupt." You can probably think of one or maybe even multiple habits that you could implement right now to make your life better and improve things. And the longer you wait to do that, the harder it gets. So today, let's make it easy. What I want to talk to you about today is so important, it could literally change the course of your life. And I am not exaggerating when I say that when I adopted this one key mindset shift, everything about my life changed. When I finally took what I'm about to tell you and put it into action, that's what allowed me to quit my dead-end job, follow my dream as an entrepreneur, start this podcast, get into the best shape of my life physically, all while eating the foods that I really wanted to and enjoying the process, and just about everything good that's happened in my life since. And I know that that can sound too good to be true, or it can sound like a lot, but I promise, if you really listen to what I'm about to say and really internalize what you hear, you can have everything you dream of and more too. So let's get into it. Today, I'm coming to you with some big news. Big news. This might rock your world. And I need to be careful when I say this, but I really do mean nobody cares about you. I'm going to say it again. No one cares. And I'm not saying that to be mean. It really is just a matter of fact. And honestly, it's a good thing. It's really a great thing. And in today's episode, I'm going to explain to you exactly why nobody caring about you is actually the best thing that you're going to hear today. First, though, let's start with a story. I was up at my friend Josh's place a few weeks ago. Josh is one of my best friends from college. He lives up in Albany where he and I went to school. And a bunch of our old college roommates were up there for the weekend, and we were, laughing and drinking and eating and telling stories. It was just, a fun weekend with friends. And while I was there, I was talking with my friend Stacy. And Stacy also went to college with us. She's married to one of my best friends, and now they have a beautiful 1-year-old son together. And inevitably, as things tend to do whenever I'm talking to people for whatever reason, the subject came up of health and fitness. And Stacy said something along the lines of, I don't know, like, I know I should be going to the gym, but I just hate it. I feel like everyone there is watching me. And I just, I just laughed, honestly. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that feeling. I wasn't laughing at Stacy. Far from it. I was laughing because I've heard that sentiment, that story, that fear in some form or another, like for the last decade. I've heard it so many times. When I first started as a personal trainer, I worked at a small gym in Brooklyn, and I saw this fear, this notion of being watched and being stared at. It came up a lot when I would talk to people. And, at first I was confused, like, why? Where did this fear stem from? And that's when I realized that the vast majority of people, and this is both men and women alike, it definitely came up with women, but it definitely came up with men as well. They all felt like my friend Stacy. They'd say,
I just don't like people staring at me, or it feels like everyone's watching me, or the ever popular and one of my favorites, which is, everyone down there, they just know what they're doing, and I don't want to look dumb. And we'll circle back around to that last one later because I have a lot to say on that topic. But, as you're listening to me say these statements, maybe you felt the same at times. Maybe you're nodding your head when you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, like I know exactly how Stacy feels. I know exactly what you're saying. Like I hate it too. And trust me when I say that I hear you. I understand this feeling. I'm not dismissing anyone's fear. The fear is very real. But also listen when I say that this feeling is complete and utter bullshit. See, the feeling of fear is quite real. What you're feeling is not to be dismissed. But the thing that you're fearing, the thing that is being feared, is complete nonsense. It's exactly, as I said before, it's a story. It's a false narrative that you tell yourself that has no real basis in reality. And that's what I want to talk about today. Or maybe the gym thing doesn't hit for you. Maybe you've never had that feeling in the gym, but what about this? Maybe something like this is happening. Let's say like you're at a busy restaurant or a store. Maybe you're Starbucks, or you're just walking through the mall and you slip, you drop your phone, maybe you drop your drink, something, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It makes a bunch of noise, and clearly everyone around you, they heard, they're even glancing your direction. They definitely heard, they definitely saw. And we just have this thought of like, oh my God, they're all laughing at me. I look so dumb. I got to get out of here. You end up hightailing it to your car. Your head is still spinning. You're thinking about how embarrassed you are and how silly you look. Thinking those people are going to go home and tell this story of that idiot who spilled their mocha caramel frap all over, and their friends are all going to laugh with them tonight. But here's the thing. You might think everyone is staring at you. It feels like all eyes are quickly glancing in your direction as soon as you make the slightest slip up. But do you know who else feels that way? Literally every single other person. Every person in the gym. Every guy who farts in line at Target and thinks, oh God, they can all smell it. And that's because we, you, me, I, he, they, every individual person, every person listening to this, every single solitary human are the center of our own universe. I, me, Paul, am my own universe. Everything radiates out from me. Every human out of 7 billion is the star of their own show. In our own heads, we play the lead role, and everyone else is simply the supporting cast. So it makes sense that you would feel like you're the center of attention at all times. It would feel like, when you walk into a crowded gym, for instance, that all eyes are beamed directly at you. But it really simply isn't the truth, because everyone feels that way, and everyone can't be staring at everyone all the time. All right? So, as you're listening to this, if you're sitting down, stay seated. If you're driving, take a big breath, because what I'm about to say might shock you. You might faint or pass out, or have your entire paradigm of how you see the world shattered and shifted. And it's a lot to take in, so I'm going to slow down when I say this. But listen to me when I say, you are not the center of the universe. Whoa, mic drop, brain explosion. I know. Listen, it was hard for me to grasp as well. When I first learned that other people mattered besides for me, I mean, I'll admit, I was a bit pissed, Like, okay, all right. I always understood that there were other people. Like, I get that. I get that other people exist. But, I mean, that's it, right? Like, clearly, other people exist only so much as they exist inside of my personal life experiences, right? It's like one of those video games, right? Like, as you navigate through the world, the view in front of you kind of just magically materializes and anything you walk away from fades from existence. Well, no, obviously, that's not how it is. And when I speak about it like that, so frankly and matter-of-factly, it's perfectly obvious to everyone listening that that isn't the case. And yet, that's how the vast majority of us are walking around every single day. You're thinking that you are the star of this movie called life, and you are, but the important distinction that needs to be made here is that you are the star of your movie of life. But every other person is equally in the lead role of their life. So the lady who scanned your drink at the drugstore, she has bills, she has kids, she has a loving husband, she argues, she struggles, she laughs, she goes to the movies, she has a whole life outside of that 30-second interaction that you have with her once or twice a month. I mean, the Uber driver who like annoyingly talked your ear off for 30 minutes on their way to the airport is a father, a son. He retired years ago and he just drives for Uber because he wants something to do, and talking to passengers for a few hours every day as he takes them from point A to point B and telling them stories is like the highlight of his day. Every single person on this planet has a life as deeply rich and complex as yours, just as nuanced, as stressed, as happy, and as overwhelming. And it's not just cashiers and Uber drivers. It's the people you pass on the street, the guy on the other end of the train who you don't even notice. And yes, every single person at the gym or in line at the bank, they have their own lives. They have their own stress. They have excitement. They have the highs and lows, just like you. And here you are, here I am, here we are, with the audacity to think that they care enough about you, a complete stranger, literally an extra in the movie of their life, a person who literally fades from existence the moment you're not in their direct line of vision. And we think that they're going to stare at us while we work out at the gym. I mean, it's self-centered when we think about it, right? Because this is important to say, we have to get over this mental hurdle. The hurdle that we feel like we are the center of the universe and that other people's lives, their days, or even their opinions are somehow affected by us. And this is important. The reason I'm spending so much time on this right now is because this is not just about the gym. It's not just in the gym that this affects you. It's everywhere in our lives. Every day, in every way, people are stymied, are frozen by fear. Quite often, more often than not in my experience, this is a fear of judgment. We fear being judged by others. This is deep within us as humans. We fear being judged by others because we are communal beings. We are pack animals. So, embarrassment in front of the pack lowers our status, and it's something that we try to steer away from as hard as we can. And we think of things like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, so I won't try. I don't want to look silly. I don't want to sound dumb, so I won't ask that question at that meeting or that conference. Right? Imagine this. This is a real scenario that's happened to me on multiple occasions. I pay a bunch of money to go to a seminar. The presenter finishes their talk and says, all right, any questions? And I have a ton, but I don't raise my hand. Why? Because I don't want to look silly. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of all of these other people who, in my head, clearly know more than I do. I don't want them to look at me and think, wow, this guy doesn't get it. And it's honestly so backwards, because if we just unpack that for a second, we can see how asinine that is. First, the whole notion of I don't want to embarrass myself in front of all these people is wrong for the entire reason of what I've been saying for the last several minutes. These people don't care about me. These people are not there waiting for me to raise my hand and make a stupid comment. These people are there to learn. And if anything, me raising my hand and asking a question would probably add to that experience because they might have the same question as me. So I'm actually doing everyone a disservice by not raising my hand and getting more involved. And then the second thing is that for me to be embarrassed by this whole situation, there would have to be some negative outcome that I'm trying to avoid. Like, I feel like they're going to snicker and laugh again, that my status is going to be lowered. In my head, I'm going through all these disaster scenarios where I raise my hand, I ask a question, the speaker says, "Wow, what are you, an idiot?" And there's also someone in the back who's recording a secret video, and then he's going to put it up on YouTube with a title like "Dumb Idiot Ask Stupid Question at Conference Made for Smart People," where he clearly shouldn't have even been in the first place. And that if I ask, that video is now going to go viral and live on the internet forever, and I'll never live it down, and my grandkids will still be laughing at it. And this is all going through my head subconsciously, but this is the type of thing that I think about that makes me not ask the question. And again, when I say it out loud logically, clearly we know that this just isn't true. And then that fear in my head becomes even more silly when I think about the second part of this statement, which is I'm going to embarrass myself in front of all these people who clearly know more than I do. Which is very similar to the feeling Stacy had or my clients at the gym had, which is, well, everyone at the gym knows what they're doing. And this is a very similar phenomenon to what I've been discussing the whole time. It's just kind of flipped. Because, I've already explained that we feel like we're the center of our own universe. And this can make us feel like we're the center of attention when really no one is paying attention to us. No one gives a shit about what we're doing. However, because we are the center of our own universe, the thing that we pay most attention to is ourselves. We see ourselves every given moment, every waking moment of our entire lives. And because of this, we know a lot about ourselves. We know pretty much everything. I know I am an expert in the subject of Paul. You are an expert in the subject of you. We know things like how little we know about marketing, as was the case for me at that conference. Or you might know how little you know what to do with a barbell. So we know that we don't know things. But what we don't realize is how little everyone else knows. All we have to go on is how people look and how they present themselves. So for us, I know that I know literally nothing about internet marketing. But because I'm at a conference full of internet marketers, again, the story that I tell myself is that, oh, these people, they must know more. These people, they look so confident. Look at that guy's suit. Look at him taking notes the whole time. They're not raising their hands, so they don't have any questions, when in reality, they're probably not raising their hands for the same reason that I'm not raising my hands. So because people present themselves a certain way, because people look confident, because people look a certain way, again, because of stories we tell in our heads, we have this very stark dichotomy. We have on one side a deep knowledge of ourselves, our fears, our setbacks, every struggle we've ever had, our flaws, and all these negative things, because we know ourselves so well, and because we're with ourselves 24/7, 365 for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And then of other people, we only have what we see presented to us. And maybe you see where I'm going with this, right? Like, have you ever been sad? Have you ever been angry? Maybe you've been depressed. I mean, probably, because we all have. But when you felt that way, did you walk around and display it visibly and promote it to the outside world? Did you make sure that everyone knew that you were visibly upset, so that a stranger who just walked by and took the slightest glance at you would think like, oh yeah, that guy's definitely an anxious, nervous wreck right now? I mean, like, maybe on your worst days, you've broken down and just cried in public. But for the most part, that doesn't happen. Most of the time, we keep that stuff inside for ourselves, for our private lives, maybe for our significant others or our therapist. But no other outside person, surely no random person on the street, would ever even be able to know what we're going through. And that means what you see of others is the same. They present happy, confident, all-knowing, when inside they're probably stressed, uneasy, and awkwardly unsure. So in those conferences, I feel like I don't know anything and that I'm the only one with questions because no one else is raising their hands, but everyone else is telling themselves the same story. And in the gym, I can attest to this, having worked at the gym for over 10 years, it feels like you don't know what you're doing and everyone else does because they're so confident and they're doing stuff. I can guarantee you, when I walk into a big box gym, an Equinox, a Crunch, a 24-hour fitness, no one knows what they're doing. 99 out of 100 people at the gym have absolutely no clue what they're doing, but they just do it. They do it confidently. They might think they know what they're doing, or they realize they don't know what they're doing and they just do it anyway. They do it with confidence, and that's all that matters. And since they are, just like you, so wrapped up in their own lives, the center of their own universe, the star of their own movie, with their own headaches, with their own stresses, with their own highs, their own lows, I come back to where we started today. They don't give a shit about you. People don't give a shit about you. You do not matter to them. And this is not meant as an insult or a put down. Quite the contrary. I mean this to be freeing. I mean this to let you know, do whatever the fuck you want because no one cares. No one is watching. No one is recording. There's no secret cameras. No one is taking notes. No one is waiting to poke fun at you if you mess up. And you will mess up. It's inevitable. And when you do, no one will notice because no one cares. So let that sink in for a bit. You can literally do whatever you want without fear of judgment or resentment or fear of making a fool of yourself or whatever silly thing is in your head holding you back. Whatever voice you have that's gnawing at you in the back of your head saying, well, but what if, So next time you get in your own head, when you're scared to try something new or to go onto the gym floor or to raise your hand at a conference, remember that no one cares about you. And hopefully that will be the push you need to just do the damn thing. And the last thing I'll leave you with, because I think I've hammered this point home, I do want to say that when I say all of this, I'm not saying it to seem cynical. When I say no one cares about you, I mean that only in this negative sense that people get of people are always watching, or I don't want to look silly. And my point is no one cares when you mess up, because no one is waiting in the shadows to watch you fail. But when you do well, when you do good, when you succeed, people definitely care about that. Your friends, your family, your coworkers, they all want to see you succeed. They want you to do well. I want you to do well. And this is human nature. When you see two strangers helping each other, when you see someone with a flat tire and some guy pulls over to help them change it, when you see a young person give up their seat on the bus to an old woman, when you see some kid struggling at the park shooting a basketball and another slightly older kid comes over to give them a tip, these things inherently make you smile. They make you feel good. And that's because this is the good side of human nature. And it exists completely detached from all the nastiness we create, all the made-up stories that we think exist of people wanting to laugh at us, judge us, or look down on us. People are, for the most part, inherently good. They want the best from you. But they are also busy living their own lives. And life is hard. So they'll root for you when you're winning, but for the most part, they just won't think about you at all. And that's okay. That's life. And that is a good thing. It's freeing. So go on and sign up for that spin class. Take your phone out in the gym and follow your favorite YouTube celeb's workout without fear that someone's going to watch you or judge you. Go to the conference and raise your hand so many times that the audience knows your name by the end. Spill your drink and just laugh it off. Laugh at your own misfortune. Because when you can make this switch, the switch from I'm being watched and everything is about me to nobody cares, nothing matters, and I can live my own life, it's the most freeing thing in the world. People do not care about your mistakes. So go make more of them. All right? The more you can make mistakes, the more you can learn. The more you can learn, the more you can grow.
Well, if you're still here, it means I didn't piss you off too much. So thanks for sticking it out with me. I was not exaggerating when I said in the intro that this one key mindset shift changed everything about my life. When I realized that people weren't secretly judging me and that they don't actually care and I can do whatever I want, it opened up so many possibilities for me. It allowed me to take the risks that I needed, even if it meant that I was going to fail and possibly look foolish. And if you can do that too, then your life will change as well. And I'll add one more thing before I let you go, and that is that even though I said all of that before, the reality is that I do care. I care about you, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening, and I want to help you on your mission to create positive change in your life. So if you're struggling with something and you'd like some guidance or you just want to talk, shoot me a DM on any social media platform at Paul Leviton. It's just my full name, and I will always respond. No one is an island. We all go further together than we do alone. And we can go the farthest when we ask for help without the fear of judgment for others. And that is change made easy. Before you go, I just have to remind you about my free weekly newsletter. Don't miss out on joining the thousands of change seekers just like you who get a curated list each week of 5 educational, informative, and inspiring pieces of content that will help you on your quest for change. Click the link in the show notes that says free newsletter now, and you'll be signed up to get free tips sent straight to your inbox every Friday that will help make your change journey easier. All you have to do is click free newsletter in whatever podcast app you're listening on. So go click that link, and I'll see you back here every Tuesday and Thursday for new episodes of Change Made Easy.